So hey everybody, this is sort of another special video that I'm doing. I rarely ever do these sort of just top 5 things. I know I did one a while back of Daft Punk, and I didn't even do a voiceover on that one. I just had little snippets of the music playing, and I think that you guys enjoyed that one. So I want to do something a little bit like that, but also more towards gaming. So you constantly have seen me playing games, and I rarely ever really cover what exactly I love about games, like what my favorite ones are, things like that. So I thought that this would kind of be an appropriate time to make one of these, because I also had somebody at GameStop ask me what my favorite games are, and it's like I never really talk about that on my channel. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead and make this list for you guys. And I do want to point out this is a list of my favorites. These are favorites, not like the list of the best games of all time. Like, that's another video entirely, and it's also not kind of things that I want to do. This is just entirely my personal preference and things that I've had a great experience with. So this will be different from most of the people's lists, so keep that in mind. But anyway, guys, here's my list of my top 5 favorite games of all time. Number 5, Dawn of War. Dawn of War was a strategy game, and to be honest, this was a perfect game for me. I'm a huge fan of strategy games. I love them so much. There's just something that's so epic about, building up these little, gathering resources, sending out builders, building things off to the side, crafting, upgrading your guys in the middle of a combat, and then just sending them off to go kill people. And I mean, obviously the kill people is kind of a violent thing, but either way, I just really love these kind of games. And Dawn of War was the very first one that I kind of got into, and it's probably got the best memories I have, because I didn't play these just over online things, somebody's on another screen, I'm on another screen kind of deal, and we're just talking through the internet. I used to go to LAN parties back in high school, and this was the number one game that we all wanted to play, because we had tons of computers in these areas, and everybody had this game. It was just basically everybody had a basic copy of it and said, look, let's just download it onto these computers and we'll play it. And we played, I think, for quite a few hours every single LAN party that we had, and we did 2 or 3 a year, and it became a big thing. We'd do 3v3s, free-for-alls. We'd just stay up all night, and it was just always something fun that I looked forward to every single time. And of course, I played it online. I played the second one when it came out, but there's just that first one was the perfect one for me. Number 4, Far Cry 3. This is probably the only time I've ever stepped into the Far Cry series as sort of a serious shooter. It was very intense. I should probably say that rather than serious, because serious has different indications. But it was intense. The animals and all the characters were kind of so gritty, and they had that violent undertone that just needed to have, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? They were just the ultimate selling point for me. The world was amazing. It was beautiful. It was islands, tropical, and it always felt sort of mysterious and creepy. But it was really the characters that sort of cemented that. The villains were the best part about this game. They had Voss. Oh my gosh, how can I forget everybody else? But Voss was probably the big one, because he was the poster boy of the game, and he was just so perfect. My God, he was just the greatest villain, and he was almost like Heath Ledger Joker crazy, and it was just so perfect. The game was truly awesome. And it's every single time I saw, I go to a cutscene, I always was excited to see what was going to happen, what was going to pop up here, what was going to happen here, was I going to save my friend, was this guy going to, finally kill me, something? It was always just intense. Now, this is one of the first ones, I think the only one in the series I've ever picked up. I never really could get into the first 2. I tried Blood Dragon, it just felt too 80s cheesy kind of deal, which was what it was supposed to do. Don't get me wrong, it was meant to do that. I didn't like it. But this is one of those games that I refuse to ever part with. It's been one of my favorite games of all time, and it just was so much fun to play. So if you get a chance, obviously, I'd recommend swing by a GameStop. You can pick one of these up, Best Buy, I don't care. Just pick yourself up a copy. It's probably the best in the series. Number 3, Left 4 Dead 2. This one should not be a surprise to anybody. I have been a zombie fanatic ever since Left 4 Dead 2 came out. I had never really been big into zombies. I couldn't watch, Night of the Living Dead. I couldn't watch anything like those. The George Romero things, I just wasn't allowed to do that as a kid. I just wasn't, because my mom was like, no, you're too young. And one day, I walked into a GameStop in the mall, and I saw the copy of Left 4 Dead 2 there, and I convinced my my aunt to buy it for me, and of course, my mother wasn't there. It was probably the very first time I ever really saw a zombie, and I just fell in love with this game. I started playing it when it first came out, and it just it infected me with the zombie bug. Yeah, I had to make the pun. But my point is still the same. it was so scary to me. It was just zombies were rushing everywhere, like they're beating down doors, trying to get into you. They were always trying to chase her. Then the special infected would pop up. You'd come across which you'd practically shit yourself. I hit my laptop. But anyway, it was just one of those games that just really latched onto me, and the action was always there, and it always felt like a desperate attempt to survive, to get to that helicopter, to get out of the town and survive. And I think it was one of those games that just needed to exist because it did everything that it needed to as zombie. It didn't have a complex story because it didn't need it. It's that basic story of survival, and if you can, just do yourself a favor, swing by a GameStop and pick up yourself a copy of this game. This, in my opinion, was the very first really big zombie game, and it deserves the credit that it sort of spawned and sort of created in these other genres, and I really recommend this one. Number 2, Battle Tanks. This is definitely an old game. This is something that came out on the N64, and gosh, man, it's been a long time since I played. Long time since I played this one. The story was very, very cryptic. If you ask me today, what's the storyline of Battle Tank? I have no idea. I was super young. I must have been like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 playing this game, and I have no idea what it was about. All I knew is I was driving a tank and it was cool. But the big thing with this one is it wasn't the fact that I understood what I was playing. It was who I was playing it with, because my brother, my twin brother Paul, like we would play this game so much. This is more of a nostalgia pick for me, just because it has a lot of sentimental value to me. We would constantly play on the multiplayer maps, just the two of us sitting next to each other. We call each other cheater every couple seconds, just because the other person would kill us. But it was just always fun. And I mean, of course, I played other games on the N64 that were just as party driven, like obviously Mario Party, Super Smash, Mario Kart, and Gauntlet Legends, and all those. All those are great, but there was just something about Battle Tanks. And finally, number 1, Mass Effect Trilogy. This is, in my opinion, the perfect game. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you haven't played this game, the ending is weird. Most people didn't like it. I loved it. I'm not saying anything, because if you're going to pick this game up, obviously you should. But this one also started long before I actually played the game. I really enjoyed this one because I first learned about it when I was in Barnes & Noble. I was walking through, the manga section, just looking at books, and then I hit the sci-fi section. And they had one of the first Mass Effect books out there, and I didn't know that it was going to be turned into a game. I just saw, ooh, Mass Effect, really cool looking thing, because I saw, the Turian, and I loved the art style of it. I was like, oh man, that's a cool looking alien. It's got, weird backwards legs and things like that. I was like, I had to buy this one. So I bought the book. I really loved it. It was kind of gritty. It was very violent, very violent. I was probably much too young to be reading this book. But it was just a really interesting read. And then next thing, within the month of me picking up that book, the game was out. And I was like, next week, I had a copy of the game, and I was just playing it. And it was, granted, the mechanics in the beginning are very clunky with combat, but it was just so much fun. And the overall, once again, combat mechanics were very clunky, hard to work with. The Mako, don't even get me started. But the overall story and character development made up for it. And it just kept me wanting to play more about these. I want to know what's more about, Grunt or Tali, or Garrus. They were my favorite. They quickly became my favorite characters I've ever interacted with. They had personality. They weren't just these flat characters that were just thrown out to the side. Oh, that's the mage, or oh, that's the sharpshooter. That's the tech person. These were they actually had development to these characters. They were interesting to talk to. They all had personalities, and that was what made me enjoy the game. It wasn't the game that I was playing. It was the overall story and experiences I was having with these characters. I'm lumping all 3 of these into one game because they are a continuous thing. Granted, there's these are chapters. The first chapter, second, and third. That's the way I look at it in my head. And plus, there's a trilogy collection out there. But that's how I see these games. They are one entire game in their own existence. I've never had a more immersive experience with these games. I remember every single connected character that I could do, every hard decision I had to make. It wasn't countless hours I devoted to the game. It was the countless hours I did in order to, make sure that my characters in the game would survive to the next one. How much effort I was willing to put in to save this one character. It's an NPC character. It shouldn't make a difference, but to me, it was important to have them to survive because I had that connection with them. And it was even more devastating, like, of an experience when I had to lose one of those characters. And it made me have to go back and regret every decision. Like, should I have done this? Did I do this wrong? I have to go back and save them. And it's one of those games that I could never, ever give up. Even when the third one came out, I played that game straight for like 27 hours to get to the end because I had to know. I had to know what was going to happen to these guys. And that's, of course, when I learned what was, the ending of the story. And people lost their minds when they heard about this thing. And I was happy with it. I'm not going to get into this because, if you want to pick up the game, I don't want to ruin it for you. But it was one of the most immersive experiences and things that you cannot, it's not an experience that you can just tell somebody about. You have to experience it for yourself. And what's more, they're supposedly coming out with a new one. I'm even more excited for that one. But I'm also worried for it because I have such a high regard for the Mass Effect series that 1, 2, and 3 are going to be almost impossible to beat just because of the amount of connection I have to the original 3. But if you get a chance, this is a game that I would recommend to anybody. Now, obviously, it's rated M, so do be warned. There's a lot of content in there that's intended for adults. But please, do yourself a favor. When you get a chance, and when you're able to, get yourself a copy of this game. It is the greatest in my mind of all time. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a like. Let me know if you, agree with me on some of these. Leave me a comment below telling me I'm stupid. I don't care. I'll talk to you about it. I just want to, see where everybody else stands on these games. These are by far some of my favorite ones that have ever been existed. Now, once again, these are not the best games of all time, but these are the greatest games to me and what they actually mean to me. These are my favorites. But once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below in the down below. Leave a comment. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to share this with your friends if you know another person who's just like me and loves the Mass Effect games or Left 4 Dead, Dawn of War, Battle Tanks, Far Cry 3. Just do yourself a favor. Send it over to them. It's always good to see that. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you all for watching again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Hey everybody, this is Zork65, and this is a little bit of a haha kind of deal after the, deep, in-depth, my 5 favorite games of all time. And this, I want to give a little bit of setup to this. My buddy Yeti and a couple of our friends, we were all playing Smite together. We weren't just recording it normally, and he kept getting Ymir in this, I think it was super hyper joust kind of deal, where basically you get a random god, and he was given the same god twice or 3 times in a row, and I was quick enough to capture his reaction on this one. I was able to get the snippet, and I asked his permission. He said, go ahead and upload this one. He wants to see what it was like. So here it is, guys. I hope you enjoy, and it's good enough for a little bit of laugh. Here it comes. Let's see if it happens. Magic moment.